Alright class, let's talk about Assignment 4. So for Assignment 4, you're going to start looking at some publicly available consumer data, how to bring in large sets of data, and then how to use this computer software. We're going to use Microsoft Excel to graph just a subset of that data, and then you're going to have to do just a little bit of research on how that data is related to either the industry you're going to work in or related to research on yourself as a young professional and starting out your career and your life as a young professional. So Assignment 4 is on consumer data graphing and a little bit of research. What you're going to turn in to Canvas is a single Microsoft Excel file that has 3 tabs that are properly labeled, and we'll go through that in this video. So to start with, you're going to get a bulk set of data, and where you're going to get that data from is the U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau of Economic Analysis. So we're going to go to this web page, and we're going to take a subset of this web page. The thing we're going to select is table 2.4.5, which is personal consumption expenditures by type of product. So this is that website. This website's really great if you're going to start looking at analysis of different items over the last 5 or so years of consumption of items, and salaries and percentage changes in periods of expenditures in areas. Lots of data for U.S. national data related to where money is going and money being spent. So the one that we're going to look at for this particular assignment is 2.4.5, personal consumption expenditures by type of product. But I really encourage you to start looking at some of these other ones as a good resource for you for looking at trends towards industries you might want to work in, towards industries you might want to financially invest in your future, towards regions you might want to do a startup business in. This is a great source of data. So you're going to go to this table in particular, and when you're here, you're going to actually download the whole table, but it is kind of neat. It's an interactive table as well, so you can look at individual items on here and chart it as well as download it. I'm going to try to scoot up a little bit here just to go through some of the titles of what this whole data set is going to show you. So it is going to show you personal consumption expenditures related to all kinds of products. So there's durable goods, motor vehicles, furnishings, and it goes into little subcategories as well. Recreational goods, jewelry, educational books, food, alcoholic beverages, garments, fuel, pharmaceuticals, household supplies, magazines, housing, rent housing, mortgage housing, utilities for housing, all kinds of subcategories of healthcare, physician, dental, hospitals, nursing homes, transportation items, ground transportation, air transportation, water transportation, recreational services, memberships, clubs, sports centers, parks, theaters, museums, if you're looking at more of a public entertainment type industry, audio video items, gambling, other recreational services, food services, big industry, purchased meals and beverages, food furnished to employees, so if you're looking at the food service industry, financial services and insurance, life insurance, health insurance, communication, telecommunication, internet access, higher education, elementary, nursery, secondary education, vocational schools, professional services, personal care, social services, household maintenance, foreign travel. It's a really big and useful set of data when you start to look at items related to financial trends within the industries you're looking at. And please note, all this data in the middle is in billions of dollars, and you get data from 2007 to 2014 of personal consumption expenditures. So what you're going to do is download this data. I'm going to click on chart just for a second so you can see some cool items. This might be useful for you to look at in the future. We're not going to use this in particular in this assignment, but I want to show this cool chart tool towards you as well. So say you wanted to do some comparison just visually real quick. They have a really cool interactive chart where you can sub-select items and look at the billions of dollars of trend over time. So if you're looking for quick comparisons of things to make some decisions in your own life or financial investments, these are good tools to look at. Now for this particular assignment, what we were going to do is download it. So we're going to go back to this table here, 2.4.5. And what you're going to do is your starting Excel spreadsheet is download this data. So click on download. And you're going to download the Excel format, the XLS. And you're going to start with that file as your base file for the Excel file you're going to turn in. So when you download that data, you get a single tab. I've added these other tabs later because these are things you're going to add in your assignment. You get a single unlabeled tab here that the data looks something like this. What I want you to do is scoot this column over to make it the width of the words at column B, and rename this first tab to your last name underscore raw data. So that's all you're going to do on that front item. You're going to then add a second tab and name that tab your last name underscore selected data. And you're going to select two subsets of this data that relate to you, that relate to your job field you want to go work in, or relate to your life as a young professional. I chose higher education because that's what I work in. And I chose household utilities because I'm not so young of a professional, but household utility trends relate a lot into my personal finance for selection of job and living expenses. So I took that data from 2007 to 2014 from this raw data. So I found two subcategories that related to me. So there was the household utilities and the education, higher education. Put it on the second tab. Then do some fill colors in here across the top to distinguish the years, and another fill color to distinguish these titles. Use a light color for fill so the text still shows up. Please label this in the upper left-hand corner, U.S. personal consumption in billions of dollars. And then you're going to make a chart and a chart area. The first thing you're going to do is merge this group of cells. So from B over to I, and then from 6 down to 24, merge this group of cells and put a dark outline around them. And then within here, make a graph of the data that looks similar to this. So the main items in the graph are label the axes, billions of dollars in year. Make sure the year goes from 06 to 15, a year before or after the data, so these data points aren't sitting on the edge of the graph. That makes it look unprofessional. Add these data labels that are the actual numbers along here, and use two different colors to distinguish this, and use a scatter plot for this data. So this is a scatter plot of data. We don't need a title up here, but I do want you to add a legend and move the legend up to the top and spread it out like this so it's one clean, nice graph to look at. So look at these trends, think about these trends, and then the next thing you're going to do is do a little research to find at least one news article related to each set of data, higher education for my case and household utilities, about trends in that item and personal consumption of that item and trends in those fields over these last few years. Because you're going to use each, you need to save the web link to that news article or research paper to do the third item. You're going to add another tab and name it your last name underscore research, and merge two groups of cells, one up here, one down here. For each one, put an outline around that merged group of cells, and make sure you've enabled text wrap within those cells. And for each one, use a minimum of 300 words and one web link for each box to answer these questions. Why did you choose the first type of data? And how is it related to either your industry or your life as a young professional? What does the 2007 to 2014 data trend you graphed tell you about that industry? So when you go back here, why did you choose, for example, higher education? And then what does this data trend that you've graphed tell you about the industry? One of the goals of this course is for you to start using this Excel software platform to visually look at these trends, think about these trends, and do an analysis of the data, not that you can just spit it on here. And to help with the research of that trend, you need to find an article or other web link to answer this question. What outside news article related to this category can you find that talks about the consumption and financial trend you see here in this data? and include the web link. So do that for the first subcategory you selected, and do the same thing over again, 300 words in each block for the second subcategory you selected. And that is it for this assignment. The goal of this assignment is for you to learn how to bring in big sets of public data, how to think about this data and analyze it, how to use the Excel spreadsheet to go from raw data to sub-selected data, to graphing simple plots of trends in data, to make a nice, clean, professional-looking graph that's properly labeled, intellectually look at those trends, talk about those trends, use this computer software as a tool to solve problems about data analysis for your professional development, personal development, to consider what's going on in the field you want to work in, or things you need to consider as a young professional as you're starting out your career. All right, take care, class.